All right, let's jump right into it. Today's explainer is a little bit different and honestly a whole lot of fun. We are putting on our serious academic hats to do a deep dive literary analysis into two of the most legendary, universally recognized pieces of childhood literature out there. Yep, we're going to meticulously deconstruct the narrative mechanics, the hidden chaos, and frankly, the sheer absurdist brilliance of classic nursery rhymes. So let's pull back the curtain and uncover the hidden genius behind the rhymes we all grew up singing without a second thought. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be covering Section 1, The Elephant's Journey, Section 2, Escalating Obstacles, Section 3, The Ceiling Fan Chronicle, Section 4, The Peanut and Uncle Mystery, and finally, Section 5, The Magic of Repetition. Section 1, The Elephant's Journey. Let's start with our first epic tale. Picture this: the slow, majestic, deliberate pace of a solitary, heavy elephant just wandering out for a stroll. The story starts with this incredibly simple premise, right? But it immediately plunges our protagonist into an environmentally hostile situation. Because every great story needs an inciting incident, and well, here it is. Our lone, happy elephant goes wandering, only to get trapped by the rainy weather and deeply frightened by the thunderous clouds. It establishes the central conflict right off the bat. Our protagonist is vulnerable. And how does he respond to this environmental hazard? He issues a desperate, iconic distress signal to a second elephant. Come here, come here, come here. This entirely sets the foundation for our narrative. Vulnerability answered by a direct call for community.
Section 2, Escalating Obstacles.
But of course, calling for help doesn't magically solve the problem. In fact, it initiates this hilarious snowballing effect of compounding logistical disasters. Just look at how meticulously this chaos is structured. It's not just random trouble. It's an escalating scale of absolute logistical nightmares. Elephant 1 faces the natural elements, right? Rain and clouds. Elephant 2 arrives to help, only for them to both get stuck in a narrow path. Elephant 3 joins the party, and for some inexplicable reason, tries to sit on a tiny bicycle, which is obviously a terrible idea. By the time Elephant 4 shows up, they're literally crashing onto a vegetable cart and breaking it into pieces. And finally, the fifth elephant leads them straight into a hunter's net, where they are actually mocked and laughed at by monkeys. The pacing here accelerates from a simple weather problem to full-blown slapstick comedy. Beneath all this hilarious chaos, though, is a very strict procedural algorithm. Step 1, the growing herd encounters a physical obstacle. Step 2, they completely fail to overcome the hazard because, frankly, they are giant elephants trying to navigate tiny bicycles and vegetable carts. And step 3, they issue the signal for backup. Come here. Each individual failure brilliantly leads to community reinforcement. They never give up. They just keep calling in more elephants. And that brings us to the magic number: 5. 5 thick, heavy elephants. This is the critical mass. This is the exact number required by the unwritten laws of this nursery rhyme universe to finally break the relentless cycle of entrapment and failure. So here we are at the triumphant climax. The monkeys are laughing, the elephants are helplessly trapped in the net, but together, the collective strength of all 5 elephants shatters the trap. They just rip the net away. In an instant, they transition from helpless victims of circumstance to victorious heroes. And how do you think they celebrate? With a beautifully synchronized, joyful dance. All 5 elephants swaying and dancing together. Honestly, it's a perfectly satisfying resolution to a wildly escalating crisis. Section 3, The Ceiling Fan Chronicle. Okay, let's completely shift gears here. We are leaving the dangerous, rain-soaked outdoors and moving into what should be a perfectly safe, quiet, domestic environment. Our second piece of literature is the legendary Ceiling Fan Chronicle. The opening line translates to, "The fan runs above, the baby sleeps below." It is a genius setup. It establishes this stark spatial binary. Up above, you have the active, mechanical, whirring ceiling fan. Down below, you have the completely passive, sleeping children. It paints a quiet, hypnotic, even mundane picture, which is exactly what makes the sudden descent into a surreal, dreamlike sequence later on so incredibly effective. If we compare the verses side by side, we can actually see subtle character shifts that establish a highly believable world. In verse 1, Ajay is sleeping. He wakes up hungry, and he's entirely self-reliant. He just goes and gets his own peanuts. But over in verse 2, Mooni is sleeping. When she gets hungry, she doesn't get up. Vijay brings the peanuts to her. It's this tiny blink-and-you-miss-it narrative detail, but it perfectly grounds these characters in a solid sibling dynamic before things get, well, incredibly weird. Section 4, The Peanut and Uncle Mystery. Because yes, things are absolutely about to get weird. Let's examine the exact moment this cozy domestic tale abandons all known laws of reality and turns a simple midnight snack into pure absurdist surrealism. I want you to treat this translated quote with the gravity of a profound philosophical proverb. The peanut has no seed, we are not your uncle. Just think about the absolutely hilarious, illogical leap taking place right here. The children are eating peanuts. One peanut happens to be empty, and the immediate severe consequence of this empty peanut is the total, devastating disownment of family ties by their uncle. It makes zero logical sense, but the rhyming structure makes it sound like an unarguable fact of the universe. And if that wasn't absurd enough, let's track the uncle's bizarre subplot from here. He disowns the children over a peanut, right? And then he immediately travels to the city of Coda. Why Coda? Nobody knows. While in Coda, he acquires a parrot. The parrot eats some grain, and then the parrot sings a song to the uncle. Do you notice what is entirely missing here? The children. The narrative completely forgets about the sleeping, hungry kids under the fan in favor of a musical bird from Coda. The story just wanders off into a completely different dimension.
Section 5. The magic of repetition.
So, taking a step back, we really have to ask ourselves, why do these stories matter? Why are they passed down from generation to generation? What's truly fascinating is that these rhymes actually function as highly advanced cognitive learning tools. The repetition, that constant calling for help, builds incredible narrative anticipation for a child. They know exactly what's coming next. The sequential counting from 1 to 5 elephants introduces foundational math, totally disguised as an adventure. And the sheer absurdity of an empty peanut breaking family ties, that creates a shock value that makes memory retention incredibly sticky. Our brains just love remembering the bizarre. And finally, the overarching theme of community problem solving shows that no matter how bad things get, working together resolves the conflict. It's kind of brilliant when you think about it. Which leaves us with this final thought for today's explainer. Why do these absurd, dreamlike tales stay etched in our memories for an entire lifetime? Perhaps it's because they represent the exact way a child's mind works. It's a beautiful, unpredictable blend of strict logical structure, repetition, and absolute delightful silliness. They teach us that even when you're stuck on a tiny bicycle or facing an empty peanut shell, the joy is always in the journey and the people or elephants you share it with. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive. I have a feeling you'll never look at a ceiling fan or a peanut quite the same way again.